What did I tell you? CNN laying off big time. CNN cutting hundreds of jobs, 6% of their workforce, and this is one of the casualties.
Mr. President.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN.
Well, he may not be working for CNN much longer. Donald Trump's getting the upper hand on that one, coming out the winner. It looks like Jim Acosta is either going to leave the network altogether or he's going to Siberia. That's what we call the midnight show in television news. The Siberia of television news, because the new boss who came in, he used to run the New York Times, so you know where his sympathies lie. He's going in, he's doing this whole shake-up to the newsroom, and they're trying to get rid of some of their bigger players that maybe earn more money and put other folks in. They're also trying to shift around people that maybe have a very big, very apparent viewpoint, like one Jim Acosta. And so they're moving Jim to midnight, and Jim's not too happy. It'd be midnight to 2 a.m. I mean, that's a crappy shift, right? But you know what? They pay him enough. He ought to be okay with it. No, Jim's kind of upset. So there's a big article saying he doesn't have any time for this. He's not going to do this. He's going to move on. Good luck, Jimmy boy. Remember this? This is this big blow up. I want to show you the entire clip because it was really quite something between Donald Trump and Jim Acosta back in the day. They had a few moments, but this might be the best.
Why did you... Mr. President.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN.
Well, he's not going to be working for CNN anymore. Those days are over, it sounds like. But I think I've got the whole thing because it's really just sort of amazing. Acosta, like, he just can't read the room, right? Like, it's very clear, like, you know, it probably makes sense at that point in time to sort of back down just in the interest of being somewhat discreet. And yet he keeps going and going and going. He's like a dog with a bone. He gets kind of impolite. And Trump's like, yeah, I don't think so. You got a lousy network, and you're kind of a lousy person for doing this. And so that was, you know, no love lost there. And so I imagine that Jim Acosta, you know, when he was going on and on, as well as Jake Tapper and the rest of them, about how it was just not okay if Donald Trump won, and they really didn't have any reasons for voting for Biden or for Kamala for that matter. They just couldn't help themselves, however. They just had to keep saying over and over and over again because Trump is that bad.
Why did you characterize it as such?
Because I consider it an invasion. You and I have a difference of opinion.
But do you think that you demonized immigrants in this election to try to keep...
I want them to come into the country, but they have to come in legally. You know, they have to come in, Jim, through a process. I want it to be a process. And I want people to come in, and we need the people.
Your campaign...
Wait. You know why we need the people, don't you? Because we have hundreds of companies moving in. We need the people.
But your campaign had an ad showing migrants climbing over walls and so on.
Well, that's true. But they weren't actors.
They're not going to be doing that.
They weren't actors. Well, no, it's true. Do you think they were actors? They weren't actors. They didn't come from Hollywood. Right. These were people. This was an actual, you know, it happened a few days ago. And
they're hundreds of miles away, though. They're hundreds and hundreds of miles away. That's not an invasion.
Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN.
All right.
And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may ask one other question, Mr. President. If I may ask one other question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, I was going to ask one of the other folks.
That's enough.
Pardon me, ma'am. Mr. President.
That's enough.
Mr. President, I had one other question, if I may ask, on the Russia investigation. Are you concerned that you may have...
I'm not concerned about anything with the Russian investigation because it's a hoax. That's enough. Put down the mic.
Mr. President, are you worried about indictments coming down in this investigation? Mr. President.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Go ahead.
I think that's unfair.
You're a very rude person. The way you treat Sarah Huckabee is horrible. And the way you treat other people are horrible. You shouldn't treat people that way. Go ahead. Go ahead, Peter. Go ahead.
In Jim's defense, I've traveled with him and watched him. He's a diligent reporter who busts his butt.
Well, I'm not
like
a big fan of yours either. So
I understand.
To be honest.
So let me ask you a question, if I can. You repeatedly said
you aren't the best,
Mr. President. You repeatedly over the course of
just sit down, please. Well, when you report fake news, when you report fake news, which CNN does a lot, you are the enemy of the people. Go ahead.
Mr. President, over the course of the last several days of the campaign, sir.
Man, it was epic. Okay. That was epic. Absolutely, positively epic. That was Trump just saying, I'm done with you people. And by the way, he gives them a lot of access that, by the way, Biden never even dreamt of giving, or Kamala ever dreamt of giving. But no, he's over them. He's over the whole lot of them. So this is a big deal. This is a big deal. CNN now being forced to lay off hundreds of people because their ratings are in the tank, and they got this guy who comes from print who doesn't have a clue how to run either digital, or TV, okay? And so it's like, who's on first? I mean, they just can't get out of their own way. I'm going to tell you what I would do. I'd lean in. I'd lean into the opinion. I know we don't like Jim, but some people do. And you find a place to make that work. I'd also be playing Scott Jennings all day long, right? Because he's got an opinion I agree with and I like. But you see what MSNBC did. We don't like them. They're terrible. And actually their ratings are pretty bad too. But they went and they're like, okay, somebody has an opinion. We're going to own it. We're going to take responsibility for it. Whereas CNN kind of tries to pretend that they're all things to all people and they are journalism with capital J when they are so not. They are so biased. And therein lies your problem. So if you're Mark Thompson, you're coming in there, the guy from the New York Times, you can't just go around and pretend you're something you're not. Just be who you are and own it. Do you know who you are, CNN? I don't think they do. I think they know that they're super left, but they're afraid to say it. So they're kind of in a little bit of a pickle. They've got a predicament. And in the meantime, what's going on? Everything's changing. Everybody's streaming. They can't do it because there's these weird cable arrangements that make it really difficult for them to stream, et cetera. So now he wants to refocus his resources on streaming. But here's the deal. I'm not going to watch CNN if it's streaming either. Are you? Because again, I know that it's so contrived. I know there's a script. I know somebody's reading a prompter. I know that it's, you got to get sanctioned from high on above if you're going to have an opinion on anything. And you have the chance now as a consumer of news to go to so many other different platforms, including this one right here. I'm glad that you're here. Make sure you subscribe. If you're just joining us for the first time, hit the bell as well. But this is the difference, okay, ladies and gentlemen? So this is the future. And it's this like three-way thing, because I'm looking at your comments in real time, which is sort of awesome. And look, I see a lot of new names. We're on at a little bit of a different time today, so it's great to have so many people here. Do make sure you subscribe. It's really important. But this is how everything is changing. And so if you're CNN, you're stuck. You're stuck in like decades ago programming. You've got a really staid kind of environment and traditions and prompters and sets and this, that, and the other. And it's just not working in today's environment. So he's going to rethink all of that, and he's going to fire a whole bunch of people, including, it looks like, Jim Acosta, in the process. Whew. Look, everything is changing. It's awesome. Everything's becoming more transparent, and I think that that's so critical. You used to have the big three controlling everything, and then the cable outlets controlling everything. And now everyday Americans can get access to information in ways that they just never could before. So I'm kind of loving it. I love it. I love it here on the show. I also love this in terms of financial media too, because the financial media obviously has their biases. It's partly why I created the 76 report at 76 Research. We have model portfolios there for you. Look, everything's on fire. The market's up and away. Good things are coming. I'm telling you, America's back, and the whole world knows it. We got to get to Davos too, because this is great. Like Donald Trump telling them all off at Davos. It was absolutely fantastic. All as the market keeps powering higher. So you want to be part of that. It's just $1 a month with code word dollar, DOLLAR. My gift to you for the first 2 months, just $1 a month. You can cancel anytime, so you're not even at $1. But for those of you that really, really want to invest, I want you to go over to the website and also take a look at things like the Income Builder portfolio, because at some point you're going to want to retire, right? Take a look at the American Growth portfolio, Resilience portfolio. We've got all of this great stuff. It's all about growth in the Resilience portfolio. And we have an Inflation Protection portfolio, which is a little like an Income Builder portfolio as well. So that's all there for you.